Welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I don't know how to do intros. Hey, Visos, Michael. So what I have right here is an animation, frame by frame animation of a pigeon flying. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it in front of the screen, and we are going to create this animation without any cutting. That's right. Anyway, let's just do it. So I'm gonna move away because the human mind is very well acquainted with faces, so I don't want to mess up the animation with my pretty face. Let's go. And now we're just speeding up the footage. We get our delicious animation. Isn't that cool? So what's the point of me showing you this? Well, I want to make a mechanism that does the same. Okay, not really, but similar. I don't want to have slits like a zoetrope. I don't want to have flashing lights or things like that. I want the animation to just work by simply stopping at each frame while it spins. Let's just show. I'll just show you the CAD and. I'll try to explain it. A skadoosh. It looks a bit complicated, so let's break it down and I'll show you why it's so delicious. Like any good mechanism, we need a power source, and I've chosen a weight system because it looks great and it's pretty simple. Now I could have gone with the simple Geneva mechanism, very infamous, very famous mechanism. Ooh, what's this looking puppy? However, I want something a little bit smoother, so the mechanism hopefully will be nice and stable. And so I went with this design made by this guy, and I think this will work perfectly to get our stop and go animation. And check this out, I even managed to make the animation work on Onshape, and so you can get a little taste. I'm going to need quite a bit of brass for this project, and probably future projects too. So I went hunting on eBay and managed to find a pretty delicious deal. 3 large 2mm brass plates for about $100 each. Since I don't exactly have a lot of space in the workshop, I resorted to a circular saw with a wooden blade, which was slightly terrifying, but surprisingly it worked fine. So with my cute tiny CNC machine ready to go, I started manufacturing the parts, beginning with the ratchet wheel. Since the ratchet wheel is basically just teeth all the way around, it was actually a pretty straightforward part to machine. Yes! I have tried to cut the spring out of brass, but it turns out it is way too soft. So instead I switched to spring steel, even though this tiny CNC machine is absolutely not designed to cut steel. However, I would give it credits where credits due. The little tiny machine with the right feeds and speeds managed to knock this out of the machine bed. After machining, I heat-treated the spring by quenching it in water and tempering it back to the correct hardness. Ah! That was hot! Dad! And as you can hear but not see because I didn't focus the camera, it has a nice ting sound, which is, it's a very good sign. Now the shaft of the ratchet and the main wheel is a bit more complicated, but it's still fairly simple. To make the square section, I had to improvise a little fixture, as I don't have a square collet thingamajig, but it worked out well enough, and the key itself is actually a radiator key, the kind used to bleed air out of radiators, but it works perfectly fine for winding the mechanism, and honestly, it looks pretty good too. At this point, I decided it was finally time to tackle the most terrifying part of the build, cutting the tiny teeth on the gears. Now, I would be lying if I said this was the first gear I cut. Actually, it was the third, and all of them were perfect. I mean, that's not true. Some of them were not so perfect, but surprisingly enough, I only ended up breaking one end mill, that was way too long to begin with, I will take that as quite an incredible achievement. Next was the barrel of the... Wait, is it called the barrel? Let me check. The drum, sorry, I meant the drum. For some reason, I thought a 30mm diameter would be enough, which, as we'll see later, was not very true. But regardless, it looks pretty good, and so we're gonna continue with that. So here's the shaft. Then we have the gear, very nice large wheel, the ratchet wheel, and the barrel which will hold the string, and there's like a notch here that the screw can lock into. Since I'm the master of operations order of operations, I thought this was the perfect time to make the frames of the mechanism so we can test out if everything lines up. I couldn't even attempt to make these projects without the help of Onshape, the sponsor of this video. And honestly, I don't even scratch the surface of what Onshape can do. Onshape is a cloud-based CAD model that sits on your browser, so no installs, crashes, or giant files. So when you want to run your CNC machine with your 15-year-old potato laptop, jumping between your flagship computer and the potato is a breeze. And if you're running on the train, you can also use your phone if you like. With Onshape's collaborative feature, you can work with your teammates on a project in real time. Simply share the URL and give your teammates permission to either comment, edit, or view only. Use model-based definition to embed dimensions and tolerances directly into the live 3D model, and keep all critical info at the source model. Use the link in the description to get 6 months of Onshape Pro for free. Onshape is one of the most powerful tools in my possession, and I really highly recommend you check them out. Thank you Onshape for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the video. I drilled the holes undersized, so that way I can rim the holes to get to their final precise dimension. After that, I cut the outer profile of the frame, and unfortunately I forgot to cut all the way through, which was a little bit annoying, but I managed to clean it up pretty well. And finally, before we do a quick assembly, I want to machine the brackets of the frame so it will hold upright and not fall on the table, exactly like my camera apparently likes to do. Those were thankfully pretty simple, and Robert, the brother of your father. I mean, Bob's your uncle. Okay, so now I will demonstrate how this should function. You know, one way is the whole mechanism, other way is winding the string. Yes. Okay. It was finally time to make the two-roller drive mechanism, or whatever this thing is called. There's a Geneva mechanism, but that's not it. There's the Geneva Convention. In fact, I actually called it the Nubbin, also on Onshape, which, by the way, is the sponsor of this video. You might notice that there are a lot of holes and negative space in this wheel, and that's a feature, not a dag, not a bag. The nubbin needs a bracket to hold it onto the shaft, and of course I decided to machine it out of a ridiculously oversized chunk of brass, wasting unreasonable amount of material in the process. But the breast was there, so like Michelangelo said, just remove what isn't an elephant. Using a tiny little brooch, I cut the slot for a tapered pin so we can mechanically lock the parts onto the shaft. Glue would have probably worked just fine, but I wanted to make sure and make it a bit old school. To drive the nubbin, we need another wheel with two accurately positioned pins that correspond perfectly with the frames. Originally, this could have just been a simple bar with two pins sticking out of it, and that's actually how I first made it, but I decided to turn it into a proper wheel instead. Maybe it helps balance the mechanism a little bit better, maybe it doesn't, but it looks like it does, so that's all that matters. Okay, so we have a little schnippischnappen. This. Okay, little schnips. Gonna do it like this. Okay. Let's just see for now. All right. Ooh. Okay. Yes. Okay. Not only because it gives a nice aesthetic contrast to the mechanism, I've chosen to make the animation wheel out of aluminium to reduce even more mass from this sub-assembly. We have some additional miscellaneous parts. For example, the weight string guiding wheel, official name trademark thank you, which only needs a groove in the middle. But I couldn't help myself and give it some aesthetic features as well. And finally, we cannot simply call it a skeleton clock without its legs. And also because it's not a skeleton clock. Okay, let's put something else. Okay. Wow. Okay, please work. I mean, there's still the weight mechanism, but wait, which direction? think it's too heavy. I think it's too heavy. I think it needs to be much smaller. I think we're good to go. This might work. Okay, let me get you closer. Hope you're ready for this, and I hope the shutter speed of the camera will screw this up. But let's go. Now bear in mind the moonwalk is backwards, so it looks like, yeah, but yes, it works. It works. It works, and we just need to make it a little bit better. Now we can load up the. Whoops. And if we let it go, excuse me. Okay, it's lacking power, but I think I know why. For some reason, I thought a 30mm diameter would be enough. The mistake I've made is I made the barrel here that holds the string way too small, so there's not a lot of torque applied by the weight. If I put the string on the large wheel, on one of the teeth, and let's see if it works better, and if it does, then we need to enlarge the drum that holds the string. So now if I release this, what we should expect that the mechanism would work very quickly. Oh, I was right. Yes, good. I made another one. If it's not clear, there's supposed to be a pigeon flying and hand waving, which is not very understandable. So that's why I'm telling it to you. Okay, but let's go. Other way. I wonder. Ooh, the camera is really dirty. My friends, I think I'm gonna call it for this video, and in the next video we're gonna fix the weight system so it works. I think I need a bigger barrel and everything. I want to make a switch, and then when I release the switch, the animation happens. Wow. The animation wheel, I want to make it 3D sculptures, not just 2D silhouettes. I think that would be cool. And we need a base. We need a base because there's no base. It's not going to just stand like that. There's going to be fancy base. But that's it for this video. Thank you for the Patreons. As always, I love you. But that's it for one video. Okay, good. Yes. Yeah, right.